Hi, so this channel will be documenting my process and programs I create going throughout the Odin Project. So far, I am in the intermediate HTML and CSS part of it, and I'm about halfway to 60% there. I'm pausing myself here to come up with about 5 criterias that I'm going to make up that I want to apply so I can really hone in on the skills that they're asking me. So what I came up with is that I need to play with CSS positioning. I also need to utilize SVGs in all their aspects. I didn't realize how deep they were. I need to insert a table in here somewhere. I don't know why they made that very big. I need to utilize Bootstrap 5 and their classes that come with it. And then also, as a challenge, I need to play around with animations. This is going to mostly be in JavaScript and probably the hardest thing I do as a part of this. Hello! So here we are. I have been doing a lot of this on and off since I started. So I decided to have kind of like a simple landing page. As you can see, this SVG looks broken. This is a part of having something with fixed positioning or positioning relative. And then we have like a basic half and half section, text, copy, CTA buttons, usually a picture on this side. And then I did a table, but we are actually towards the end, and I will go into depth with what that actually meant for me when I was breaking some of these things down. I'm gonna start off about a couple git pulls back. So this is how my mental process goes about adding things in here. Since I'm using Bootstrap, which technically to some people will mean I'm cheating because I'm not doing it from scratch, I'm gonna just start at the modal because I already have the button on my page. Copy this and put it into our document. This is a very important part right here. Data BS toggle, and then this hashtag or ID. This is how it knows what it's talking to. So let's put this criteria on my button that I needed to be talking to. So example modal, that will give this away. Let's make it something relevant, as in source code. Wow, I cannot spell. Code. So now these two sections here know that they're talking to each other. Like, you click this button and it's going to open up this content here. We're just gonna put, for now, just to see if it works. So view source, I click on it, there goes my dummy copy, and it works. That's based off Bootstrap. Don't worry about that. I am going to do my own custom JavaScript later, but for the time being, I just wanted to practice with what Bootstrap already had as a part of their framework. Okay, well, I definitely think we can go ahead and check off utilize Bootstrap 5. That will come in a lot. I'm pretty much gonna solely use Bootstrap 5 techniques. So as I said, there are too many resources out on the internet for you to have to do anything from scratch. One thing that I saw that I used time and time again after seeing it in another place is adding things out of thin air, basically with CSS. And I was taking example from this. As we can see that there's a div here, the blue, and then they have a cute little like image behind it. After inspecting all of this stuff, I see that they basically just added that to a before and after class. So let's see how I did it in code. When I go back to my thing, I will see this is the container it's on. I believe it's boxes. See, I added an ID. So now I know in CSS, I can just add a before class to that ID. Let's try and fix it. So this is just getting us used to using position and absolute and knowing how to manipulate that. And we just went over boxes that had that. Let's go to SVG and add. So let's add another one. I'm gonna literally copy and paste what I just did. Put it here, and let's change that ID because we just made SVG. Changing it so we have a new area that it's going to go on. My other asset, number 2. Go ahead and save that, and let's see what it looks like. Oh, it layered itself right on top of each other. Let's do this. Instead of it being on the left side for me, let's go ahead and put it right. Boom. Looks better already. We just not use top. Okay, great. That looks fine. I just don't want it to be over there where the other one is. I'm actually gonna make it a little bit smaller, and I'm going to go ahead and copy what I just adjusted in the browser here and put it right in my file. Yeah, pretty much I'm just trying to show you guys how first of all, how do I think about going about when I see something cool, how do I do that? How do I research it? And how do I integrate it into my project? Since we just finished CSS Position Absolute, I go ahead and check that one off. Now I'm going to start getting into a little bit more technical things, and I'm going to show you exactly how I do it. So one thing that I wanted to do was add a table in here and make it a little bit spicy by adding an animation to it. This is my thought process going about that. Here we go. So this section of this website right here, this entire section, we're going to add something on here. As I've been doing in the past, I've been using IDs. IDs is literally the quickest, easiest way to know that this is the one and done, one and only CSS thing that's going to work for this section. If I look at W3 Schools here, they have a thing called keyframes. And with this explanation here, it's basically, to me, it's almost like a variable in JavaScript. CSS is getting more advanced. So this will be going from, you set this variable, it's going to go from red and fade into the color yellow. That's what I'm guessing based off of this example. See this? Oh, well, yeah, it's fading. I'm going to try and DIY my own animation. I've seen on multiple pages that when you get to the site, it fades in like this. This is how my WordPress website had it built in. We get the variable part of it. Let me try and understand transition. Basically, this is a catch-all CSS property. Here in this demo makes it go up and down. That instead of margin top. Let's go ahead and save our file. Why is it still doing this ease in effect? You know why this wasn't working? This variable or variable class, whatever you want to call it, we forgot to add this to our thing that we're selecting. Go down here, table. Does not have anything on it. Let's take transition off and just give it that. Save that. Duration 2 seconds instead of transition 2 seconds. Let's see if that does anything. Okay, that made it work. Look at me. Okay guys, so this is just me playing with CSS and animations to just see what is going on. Like, the more you play with this stuff, the more you're gonna get it. With that being said, we're definitely done with adding a table in here. And last thing is, how do I make a custom animation? And let's start that now, because I definitely thought that's what this was going to be, but it turned out to be all CSS. I was looking up sitemaps and I was like, dang, this looks really cool. How did they do that, right? We just went over keyframe before and after, or from this to that. So we're going to do this manually. I'm going to walk you guys through how I thought of doing this problem. The first thing is, let's try and get our button to just be an actual entity in JavaScript. So with JavaScript, we have let, constant, and var. So let's do constant because there's only going to be this one button. So the easiest way, just like with CSS, in JavaScript is really to get an ID on your button. ID is a one and done entity usually, right? When you click this button, I want it to be able to change the color of the icon. So we're just going to call it change because that's what the word even says. So one thing in JavaScript you can do is query selector. There's two ways of doing it. Query selector all gets everything. And when you do query selector, just one, because it might be just one entity you're trying to get, it just gets that one. So we're going to do this one, which is change. And let's see if this works. I'm really trying to seem like I really know what I'm doing off the cuffs, but a lot of this stuff is trial and error. For the most part, I do a lot of my stuff in the browser because you can, you know, see what you're doing. You can actually get an error on cue and know that it's not gonna work like this exactly. It didn't work already. It's probably because the way I worded it. Or sometimes you have to actually put like hashtag, oops, hashtag change. All right, it's coming up now, as you guys can see right there. And I'm gonna go ahead and take all out because I know I'm just trying to get one button. And I'm gonna put this, copy and paste it, put it right there. Now I know it's working. It's talking to each other. Another thing that you're gonna have to do in JavaScript a lot is events. Whether you click, you scroll, you refresh the page, website can hear everything you're doing. Usually you put the action you're listening for first, and we're going to put it in quotes here. So we're going to be listening out for a click, the most simplest. Let me go back to here, my BFF, and see how they wrote it. There's two different ways to do event listeners. You can call it separately like this, or you can have it all in line. We're going to do inline because I feel like it's a lot simpler and we already have what we need here. So I'm gonna delete this unnecessary stuff, and today we're going to just listen out for this. I clicked, right? So let's go to our web page after I've already saved it here and see what's happening on our main page. When I press the button, there we go. We got I clicked, and as you can see here, it is definitely clicking it multiple times. I think we need to acquire this entity here. So when I scroll over this, I see that this is an icon called BI Brilliant. Our favorite thing to do is .query selector. And let's call it by its icon name, because I definitely don't think there's any more icons on this page. Peace and tranquility sign. So I think they had it under BI Brilliance. Go ahead and copy that. And yes, include the period. Boom, I put it in quotes and immediately it's picking it up, right? I press enter, it knows exactly what we're talking about. So with that, we are going to copy this and put that right in our document. Let's go down here. Icon, because that's super relevant, and I'm gonna paste exactly what we have in here now. So now we have our two entities. We have the button. When you click the button, it's going to do something to the icon, right? All right, we're almost there. Within JavaScript, we have a lot of addition, multiplication, division principles, but they also have some built-in functions like this one here, math.random. I'm not going to go over the whole concept, but like I said, there's tons of things on the internet that can get you halfway there. We're going to make a variable called RGB because that's what we're going to be getting anyway from this random number. And we're going to call math.random. Usually it gives you a number between 1 and 100, but it'll be like decimal form. So let's go ahead and see this. Well, we're getting numbers between 255, but they have that little decimal point on there. That's a little annoying. So there's a little trick where you can round a number up and round a number down in JavaScript. So let's wrap this whole entire entity here in math.floor. Now let's go ahead and see what happens when I click this button. Perfect. Now we're getting an even number, right? So our random number generator is pretty much up and working. This is going to be very ugly because I'm making it super long, but let's go ahead and copy this concept here because I know that gives me one number, and we're going to duplicate it 2 more times. So let's make a new, I guess, string that is going to be our RGB number. We'll start off with RGB, and we're going to use some concatenation plus math.floor plus, so I also put this in parentheses, separated by a comma, and our math.floor plus another comma plus the last bit of that RGB number, and plus, let's go ahead and close this out, it's going to be a parenthesis. Boom. Now this looks very long and ugly, but this concatenation formula should give us a nice RGB number. Let's go ahead and save that. Go back to our web page. Please give me a good RGB number. So let's see for a fact if this works. I'm gonna go ahead and copy this verbatim. Hover over my beautiful icon here. And let's see what would happen if I were to put this instead of this. Look at that, guys. It's working. So now, clearly, we're getting an RGB number that's randomized. The last thing we need to do with onClick is inject this into the icon. This is very ill looked upon, but putting things in line styles with JavaScript is possible, but not the best thing. Let's look at this Stack Overflow example. They have, this is how it usually looks in CSS, but how they have it within JavaScript, they put their variable first, dot style, dot width, and then you put what it's supposed to equal to. Put icon, because that's the variable we're trying to change. Icon dot style, this is weird, but color equals, and then we're going to call our RGB variable. All right, icon, I press style, this is the color that's being called, and it's changing. Yeah, guys, I don't like how jarring that is, but that's how we would go to CSS and BI Brilliance. I think this is where I can put like transition. Yeah, let's put transition duration like 2 seconds so it can change flawlessly. Love it. It's working, guys. So this custom animation and custom color is pretty much done. This video has taken me so long to make. I finally did it, y'all. All right, so this was my example, and I think I most definitely got halfway there. If you look at theirs, it's changing, it's moving, and I basically took that as an example and kind of made my own thing. You just gotta play with this a bunch of times and you'll eventually figure something out. But thank you guys for watching, and maybe put some comments down because I know this was a pretty bad video for my first one. But I'm trying. I'm out.